Coming up in this edition of Animalia, acupuncture helps give a sick Komodo dragon a new lease on life. It doesn't matter how you disguise it, a car will always startle a lion. And dolphins helping autistic children to communicate more freely. All that and more coming right up in Animalia. Meet Zeus, an estimated value of £100,000 sterling. The mini leopard is the most expensive kitten in the world. The new hybrid of leopard and house cat, Zeus is the closest thing to a domesticated wild leopard Britain has ever seen. Bred by cat fans Lord Esmond Gay and his partner Sarah, Zeus lives in the couple's home in Britain's Bedfordshire. He's special because he's one of the first Bengals to have 90% wild blood and only 10% domestic blood. He was bred by using on his mother's side a snow marble F2, a very rare cat in her own right, as his grandmother. They then put that cat back to the Asian leopard cat to create an F1 with 75% wild blood. They then put that F1 back to the leopard cat again to create Zeus, who's 90% wild blood. At 5 months, Zeus has secured his place in the family. He sleeps on Esmond and Sarah's bed, plays around with their daughter, and even goes in the car when the family is out and about. But the person he's closest to is Gay's fiancée, Sarah. Zeus took to Sarah when Gay had to go away for a few weeks. Ever since then, Gay has been virtually ignored by Zeus. Having a 90% wild-blooded animal around their daughter is also of no concern. If he was left outside to his own devices and didn't have any human contact from birth, then he would grow up to be completely wild. However, because they've reared him from 2 days old, taken him for walks and allowed him to even sleep on their bed, it'll guarantee that he'll stay tame, according to Lord Esmond, who spent more than £250,000 on creating little Zeus. His other Bengals may probably have cost him the same, but he's not set on earning much money with the animals. Although he sells his Bengals to celebrities all over the world, such as Hollywood actor Kevin Bacon or the Sultan of Brunei, he's very careful to whom he sells his beloved feline children. The same applies for Zeus. They've been offered £100,000 twice, but the homes just weren't suitable. Esmond and Sarah actually never intended to breed Bengals. Gay was originally trained in computer technology. About 10 years ago, he began to discover his interest for the wild cats. Now he has around 40 Bengals. Bengals are a blend of Asian leopard cat and a domestic cat. In 1991, the first exemplar was reared in Britain. The prices for his conventional Bengals start from £400. And here are some more new additions. Indonesia's wildlife park welcomes 5 newborns. The 5 baby boomers at the Safari Wildlife Park in West Java have been keeping the zoo's nursery and handlers busy. 2-week-old Merdeka, an African white rhino calf, is the least needy of the 5 as he stays close to his mother's side. The newborn rhino was a pleasant breakthrough for the safari park. He's the first white rhino to be born in captivity in Indonesia. The calf is the 5th white rhino in the park's collection, joining 2 bulls and 2 female white rhinos. 50-kilogram Merdeka, or Freedom, was born on August 15, 2 days prior to Indonesia's Independence Day, earning him the patriotic name. The rhinoceros, meaning nosehorn, is a large, fast-moving mammal with thick skin and 1 or 2 nose horns. There are 5 different species of rhinos, including the white rhino and black rhino from Africa, the Asian one-horned rhino from Nepal and India, the Javan rhino from Indonesia, and the Sumatran rhino from Sumatra and Southeast Asia. The only animals that can kill adult rhinos are people. Poachers sell rhino horns to use in folk medicine. The nose horns are made from a hair-like substance that grows throughout the rhino's life. The other 4 newborns, 2 orangutan, 1 leopard and a chimpanzee, whose mothers abandoned them after birth, keep handlers at the zoo's nursery on their toes at all times, crying for attention and demanding playtime. 3 handlers take turns in caring for the 4, Adam, Mahadika, Ayu and Emmy, who each must still be bottle fed and who all but the baby leopard must stay inside the incubators. She's probably wondering what all the fuss is about. Safari Wildlife Park houses more than 2,600 animals from 257 species. Well, who gets your vote as the cutest? For me, until he gets full size anyway, the leopard wins the competition. He just seems to be too cool. These guys, as cute as they are just too noisy. Or maybe I was being a little harsh. Imagine if a large earthquake struck and you happened to be in a lion's den. Okay, that isn't likely to happen, but say you were in a safari park and the controls of the automatic bus broke down as the earthquake struck. Outside the windows are puzzled and perhaps frightened wild beasts ready to jump at any extra chance of survival they may have. That's exactly the scenario dreamed up by the people of Tama Zoo on the outskirts of Tokyo for its annual disaster drill held to commemorate the anniversary of the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923. That trembler killed over 140,000 people and left nearly half the residents of Tokyo and Yokohama homeless for days on end. While Japan today is better prepared than their forebears, the zoo isn't taking any chances, especially with the wild animals in their keep. African lions have excellent eyesight, good hearing and sense of smell. They also have very quick reflexes, which allows them to keep up with and capture their prey. The African lion is a very large cat, with males weighing between 330 and 550 pounds, and females weighing between 260 and 400 pounds. The drill consisted of rescuing a stuck busload of tourists and scaring the lions to a safer compound. Lions are 8 to 10 feet long, not including the tail. Its most famous feature is its mane, which only male lions have. The mane is a yellow colour when the lion is young and darkens with age. The final part of the drill, played by a female Homo sapiens, consisted of chasing down a lion on the loose. Using all her thespian skills, the zoo official ran around in lion's clothing before another colleague pretended to shoot her down and drag her away. Not exactly an Oscar-winning performance, but nevertheless a good demonstration for the crowd. After making sure the beast is out cold, the handlers prepare to load it into the truck. Male lions need about 15 pounds of meat each day, and females eat about 11 pounds. The lion prefers grassy plains, savannas and semi-deserts. It's located throughout much of Africa, especially in the southeastern part of the continent. So the next time you're in Japan and there's an earthquake, you'll know exactly what to do. Don't go to the zoo. This is a story of great cruelty, but we promise you it does have a happy ending. The Koenig Circus had in its menagerie of performing animals a chimpanzee named Toto. Toto was taken forcibly from the jungle when he was 2 years old and sold by animal traffickers to the circus. According to authorities, the circus castrated Toto, pulled out his canine teeth and kept him chained in a small wooden box. He was forced to perform as a boxer, dancer, and smoke cigarettes. "It's been a long process," said Alba Muos from the Primate Rescue Centre. "Along with the physical recovery, there's also a psychological recovery. There can't be one without the other." For years, he was locked in a box. If he manifested anger or happiness, nobody noticed. He could go crazy banging the door, and nobody paid any attention. Chilean courts ordered Toto to be taken from the circus, and he was given to the Centre for the Rescue of Primates. But the $12,000 cost to repatriate Toto seemed prohibitive until news of the chimpanzee's plight crossed the ocean, and former Beatle Paul McCartney donated the money to fund the trip. By the time he was rescued, Toto showed severe signs of stress, including hair loss and copophagy, a disorder in which an animal eats excrement. His chain was cut from his neck, and Toto was on the way to liberty. The circus had castrated him and pulled out his canine teeth. Toto was anaesthetised for the journey, where upon arrival he was treated physically and psychologically to bring him back to health and prepare him for life in his natural habitat, the African jungle. Here he is already showing signs of emotion and happiness, and a demonstration of his truly gentle nature. The chimp's rescue began 7 years ago when a circus spectator originally brought a complaint against Koenig after seeing the conditions Toto was living in. But Chilean courts were unable to intervene because the circus fled to Bolivia. Early in 2003, authorities discovered that the circus had returned to Chile, and that's when they seized Toto. This amiable chimp's journey will lead him to the Chimfunchi Wildlife Orphanage in Chingola, Zambia, via South Africa. To save him from the stress of the unknown journey, and of course the fear that he could be going back to the circus, Toto was again anaesthetised. Toto will be in touch with his own kind, and he will be speaking his own language for the first time in 20 years. The trip was sponsored by DHL Express, who will ship Toto along with a veterinarian to his final destination. In a state of relaxation, the primate is unconcerned about his destiny, feeling, if anything, a trust in the people who have cared for him for the past 6 months. But for the animal rights workers who did take care of him following his rescue in Chile, there were mixed feelings. They gave him a teary send-off, sad to be losing their beloved friend, yet elated that after 20 years of intense suffering at the hands of the Koenig circus, he was going to be what every living soul on this planet should be, free. Toto was driven to the airport for an early morning flight to his final destination, the Chimfunchi Wildlife Orphanage. And so, with the utmost of care and under the watchful eyes of the people who loved him, Toto was loaded onto the aeroplane that was to fly him to the world he'd been snatched from 20 years ago. So the next time the circus is in town and you feel like going along to see the acts, think about Toto and the suffering he went through to entertain audiences and make money for his captors. Circuses today don't need to have performing animals. Human acrobatics and death-defying trapeze artists should be sufficient for our amusement. Farewell, Toto, and good luck in your world. A kangaroo named Lulu was hailed a hero recently for saving an unconscious Australian farmer by alerting the man's wife and leading her to where he lay trapped under a fallen tree branch. Farmer Leonard Richards was checking for storm damage on his property when he was hit by the falling branch. The kangaroo began barking until Richards' wife, Lynn, came to investigate. She found her husband lying unconscious under a tree about 200 metres from the house, guarded by the kangaroo. Lulu was hand-reared by the Richards family, who rescued her from her mother's pouch after her mother was killed by a car about 4 years ago. Leonard Richards was taken to hospital with suspected head injuries, but allowed home. The RSPCA called for Lulu to be nominated for its annual National Bravery Award. Possibly the strangest-looking member of the pig family, the babirusa, is also the most endangered. A survey in 1978 determined that less than 4,000 of the tusked pigs were left in the wild. In its home region, the tropical rainforests on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi and the nearby Togian Islands in the Indian Ocean, the animals are threatened by habitat destruction and overhunting. Banta was born just a few days ago and has made her public debut. She seemed pretty excited to be outside, playing near her mother while chewing on a husk of corn. The animal's litters tend to be small, just 1 to 3 babies, and breeding in captivity has not always been successful. Banta is the zoo's first babirusa baby in 5 years, and zoo officials are excited that it's female. The babirusa is one of about a dozen species of wild pigs scattered across Africa, Europe and Asia. The most striking feature of a babirusa is its face. Besides being armed with a pair of slashing lower tusks, males support a pair of upper tusks which erupt through the top of the snout and curve back toward the eyes. These upper canines resemble antlers more than they do tusks, thus the name babirusa or pig deer. Their purpose remains something of a mystery. They're not strong enough to be weapons. As they're found only on the males, they probably have something to do with courtship rivalry displays. However, they do utilize them by deflecting opponents' blows during fighting, thus protecting their eyes. The sockets of the teeth have actually rotated 180 degrees, a fascinating evolutionary accomplishment. Why exactly this has evolved remains a mystery. Taxonomists are even more puzzled over the babirusa. They aren't sure whether its closest relatives are modern pigs, peccaries or hippos. Its stomach is like that of a sheep, which is a simple ruminant. The babirusa's stomach possesses an extra sac, and the animal often browses on leaves and shoots. It does not, however, chew a cud. This fine fellow lives at the Singapore Zoo, but this story isn't really about him. And we just put the albino snake in because a lot of people are frightened of them. Can you imagine? But what do orangutans and Komodo dragons have in common? Well, here at the Singapore Zoo, they have both benefited from the treatment of acupuncture. Traditional Chinese acupuncture needles are being used successfully by a Singapore veterinarian to treat a sick Indonesian Komodo dragon which had been refusing to eat due to apparent parasites in its digestive system and a neurological disorder. Dr. Oh Soon Hock said he'd become disappointed with the effect of modern medicine on animals at the Singapore Zoological Gardens and in frustration turned to traditional Chinese methods. Tirto, a sun-loving giant lizard from the Indonesian island of Komodo, is going through a treatment in which Dr. Oh uses thin acupuncture needles, the same used in humans during acupuncture treatment, which are placed in the lizard's back, legs and mouth twice a week to help strengthen the animal's immune system and indirectly improve its health problems. Dr. O, who's been working with animals for 13 years, said even he was surprised at how much more effective acupuncture had been compared to numerous attempts at curing the Komodo's health problem with modern medicine. Despite its 3,000-year history, Chinese medicine is often viewed with skepticism, but Dr. O says he's proven acupuncture works. Dr. O says Chinese medicine, including acupuncture, has helped other animals at the zoo in the past. He also said that without the improvement he's seen in the Komodo dragon just after the first few acupuncture treatments, it's likely the stressed animal would have died by now. Dr. O is very optimistic and believes this animal is going to recover. Well, you certainly couldn't wish for a more agreeable patient. Here, Dr. O applies an electric current to the needles, a conventional method in the treatment of acupuncture. The animal improves significantly following each treatment. According to Dr. O, he can push his leg up and he can move greater distances. He can open his mouth and he can swallow his food. On sunny days, he can move 4 to 5 rounds and he's far less depressed. Now, where are all the visitors? You have to have visitors when you're sick, don't you? Ah, here they are. I can't see any bunches of grapes, and I certainly think he ate the bananas on the way there. Still, it's the thought that counts, isn't it? You're going the wrong way there, guys. These two show dolphins at Dolphin Town in the Mediterranean town of Antalya offer more to visitors than jumping through hoops. They're part of a therapy program established by a psychoanalyst and represent hope of a more varied life for autistic children. Parents are also involved in assisting in several workshops that aim to teach them to communicate with their child. The psychoanalyst, Dr. Murad Kamalolu, says that the Antalya Spirit Science Centre has established a program which includes educational classes to increase the autistic children's skills in communication within a pleasant environment. Within the therapy, the child swims with the dolphins and 3 tutors in 3 periods of 10 minutes. The centre in Antalya annually welcomes around 200 patients and aims to reach 3,500 patients per annum. The Charlene family are surprised that their autistic child responded to the therapy in such a very short time. They're pleased to see him with a huge smile when he's in the pool with the dolphins. There's a warm relationship between the children and the dolphins. The children feel that there's a connection between the dolphins and themselves, and those feelings are sent to them naturally and spontaneously. Just another example of how humans and animals can not only coexist, but can be beneficial to one another also.